You're watching Less Than Epic's coverage of the Overwatch League. Enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to week 3 of the Overwatch League. Last week included some more upsets, including Boston over New York without their shop caller and number 1 DPS. This stage has seen so many upsets and it seems like the top of the league and the middle league are really starting to blend together. Let's jump on over to Kinky for game 1 and see how this week will stack up.
So our first game of this week, we have Valiant taking on the Gladiators. It's the battle for LA once again. And across the board, we have all taken Valiant. Valiant's just looked way too good this stage to undermine them now at this point.
On to game 2, we will see Dallas versus San Francisco. This is the first game of the week where we are not unanimous across the board, where I pick in San Francisco and the boys are picking Dallas. I originally had actually picked Dallas, thought that would be the good pick, but with the recent news of Dallas dropping their coach and Rascal, a DPS player, I'm going to lean towards the side of San Francisco. Something also to note on this game is they're 1-in-1 lifetime against each other, with San Francisco beating Dallas once and Dallas beating San Francisco once, so it should be a good matchup, but I think San Francisco can pull the edge while Dallas is trying to regroup after losing their coach.
So I have to note that Dallas did lose their coach. They did lose Rascal, but we don't know how influential their coach was, though I actually heard that it was not as influential as other teams, and Rascal doesn't play a whole lot. And both of these teams have received new players in this stage, but Dallas's new tank, OGE, oh my god, watching him play, it's ridiculous. His play is pretty. It's so good, and I just think that Dallas is hopefully going to be a better team, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they start taking games. All right, on to game number 3 of day 1. We have Seoul versus Shanghai. Shanghai still showing that they need to regroup a little bit. We have heard a little bit about their language barrier issues. It's been a huge issue in their play, particularly with their player Damon on the DPS slot. He talked about how it's been really tough to speak in Chinese, being a Korean player. So they're just having some issues getting everything together, even though they have a ton of talent now. And because of that, we're all picking Seoul to win this game. We just don't think that Shanghai is going to regroup before the game.
Kicking off our Thursday schedule, we have Houston taking on Florida, and we are split on this one, actually, believe it or not. Nova believes that Houston is going to continue, or I should say, come back from the dead and actually start winning games again. Well, Raded and I both believe that Florida, with all of their improvements since the end of Stage 2, that they're going to get a win here.
Oh, yeah. Florida's new tank, awesome guy. I mean, he's an awesome tank. And Logix has been stepping it up. Like, I have no doubt that Florida, just like Dallas, is going to start looking like maybe not a top team, but definitely moving into the mid-tier.
I agree. Florida has definitely improved. However, Houston went last week and brought 2 of the top teams to 5 games. They did lose both matches, however, but I think they have it in them to beat out Florida anyway. If not, they are tanking it pretty hard. On to our second game of Thursday. We will see my boys in Boston up against the boys from London. And you would think that we'd be split a little bit differently than we are. We have Radid and myself picking Boston, and Kinky the only London picker. I went Boston because they've been playing very well since the midway through Stage 2. Currently, in the last 5 games, they're 5-0, whereas London is only 1-4. London has lost to some big teams like Philly and New York, but they also lost to Houston. So I don't know what's up at London right now, but they are not doing as well as they were at the end of Stage 2. And I feel like Boston's going to pull this one out.
Yeah, if you just saw on our channel, we actually just did an analysis of the new Boston post the Dream Casper kind of scandal thing. And Boston, seriously seriously restructuring their game plan, looking like a ridiculously top-tier team. I'm not 100% if they can continue that streak, but I mean, seeing the way that they played last week, I have to continue with them. Like, especially given that London has just been absolutely tanking for a huge number of reasons, but I just don't think they're going to pull it together, unfortunately. My poor London.
London has really been struggling this stage, and it's been quite sad. But I don't see Boston... Like, Boston's been playing very well, and I'm not trying to downplay how well they've been playing, but they're on an 8-game win streak, and even New York loses every once in a while. And they play both London and Seoul this week. They're going to drop one of those games. I just don't know which one it's going to be, and they'll more than likely win the other one. I just don't see them winning both of those games this week.
All right, moving on to game number 3. We've got New York versus Philly, and both of these teams have been performing very well in the past roughly 5 weeks, maybe a little bit more for New York, of course. But we really don't think that Philly can come back after their last game with New York and take them. And we think that New York is going to take this one again, all across the board.
Kicking off our glorious Friday, we have Philly taking on San Francisco. And as you could imagine, we are taking Philly unanimously. They're just way better than San Francisco at this point.
On to our second game, we will see Florida up against the Shanghai, the possibly bottom 2 of the league, although Florida's been climbing. If we look at the last 5 games from both of these teams, neither one has a win. So, where are we going with this? Well, we're actually split on this decision, with Radit and myself taking Florida and Kinky taking Shanghai. I can see why he might want to go with Shanghai, since they definitely have been looking a little bit better with their new lineup. But I think Florida's looking much, much better with their new tank play. And just all around, team seems to be getting along better, seems to play well together, whereas Shanghai's just fractured communication problems. Radit dropped a video a week or 2 ago about the problems Shanghai's having, so go check that out.
I want to say that we saw the same issue when Fissure joined the Gladiators. There was that language barrier between the rest of the team and him. And after a few weeks, you could tell something clicked with the team, and then they just started to roll. And I really have a feeling that that's going to happen with Shanghai, especially since now they've had, what is this, the 5th week that Gaguri's been there with the team, their best diva player. So I really feel like they're at the point where they're about to start rolling, and when that starts, I could see them being a stronger team than Florida just overall.
So I got some info on that one, actually. Fissure today put out a very long kind of message talking about the Rascals situation, but he mentioned actually why there was that couple week lag with his transfer, and then they started performing well. They were having language issues, but Bijou actually started translating on the fly what the commands that Fissure was giving. And he said that if that wasn't happening, he would have already left the team because they weren't performing well. So Shanghai does not have that bilingual player, and Damon has been talking a lot about that from the Shanghai's end. And they're having exactly the same issues, but they do not have that bilingual wild card. So I am actually not in the camp that they're going to fix that one anytime soon. I think it's going to be a huge issue. Kicking off our third game of that day, we've got Seoul versus Boston. And again, we are split on this. I already gave my highlights for Boston, and I'm taking them again in this game for the exact same reasons. Seoul has not been looking good. And Kinky is our Seoul player for this round, so I'll kick it over to these guys.
Well, I picked Seoul again just based on what I said before. Boston's 8-0. They've won 8 straight. I don't see them being able to continue that level of success. Even in the Overwatch League, like I was saying, New York even drops a game every once in a while. They lost a game last week. Boston is bound to lose a game eventually, and this is a pretty damn good week to say that they're going to lose a game. So that's why I'm picking against Boston both games this week. I know I'm going to be wrong on one of them, but it's better than being wrong on both of them.
You're going to be wrong on both of them, son.
Exactly.
Okay.
I just can't pick on Seoul's side right now. They have just been crumbling. I don't know what's wrong with that team, but they have not looked good for quite a while. They've been pulling out some wins, so I'll give them that. But they keep dragging maps to game 5s, and they keep struggling against lower ranked teams, and I just don't get it. But I don't see Seoul beating Boston.
That's kind of been Seoul's MO, though. I mean, they go to game 5. They've been going to game 5 since stage 1 with crappy teams. Like, in stage 1, I think they went to 5 stages with the likes of Florida. I mean, Florida back then didn't look... I mean, my trash can looked better than them. It wasn't pretty at all.
My trash can's pretty.
But my point being that Seoul has always had trouble closing out games and is always going to 5 games. And yeah, they have looked, I wouldn't say they've looked like they've been crumbling. I'd say more like they've looked up and down. Not so much that they're going to just fall apart, but any given week it looks like they could start to fall apart, or they could either start to go back up. Like they're hot and cold. Kicking off our Saturday schedule, we got London taking on Valiant. And we are split on this one again. And if you want to venture a guess, your guess is probably going to be wrong. Novapunk has London, Radit and I have Valiant.
It hurts. It hurts a lot.
Valiant's been playing off the charts this stage. I know the only quality win they have is against Seoul, but they annihilated Seoul 4-0. So I see Valiant walking away with maybe, I don't even know if this is going to go to 5 maps. This might just be a 3-1 victory for Valiant.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree and think that Valiant is playing really well. And I think that London's not playing so hot right now, which is why I'm pushing for them to win in this game, because they need to turn it around if they want to stay in the playoff race. And I think they can do it against Valiant. They've beat them before. Went to 5 games, however, but I think they can do it. They just need to bunker down and figure out whatever's going on.
I do believe, but Valiant is just looking way hotter than they are right now. Though, fun little fact, Profit just hit #1 in the world. So there's the top 500. Profit's #1 as of like today. So
it's no longer Jonak?
Nope. Profit took it. So yeah, that's just a fun little fact. But I still don't think that is going to carry over into these games.
I mean, what a tough week for London too. Boston and Valiant. On to game 2 of our Saturday matchups. We will see New York up against the Gladiators. And across the board, we actually have all picked New York to win this game. The Gladiators were starting to come in their own and win some games, and they were looking good, and then just like they flipped a switch and started to suck again. We all know New York's been playing super well. They've only lost 1 of their last 5 games. I think Gladiators might be able to bring it to 5 maps, but I don't see Gladiators pulling this one out.
All right, and kicking off our last game of the week, we have Houston at Dallas. And Dallas, I sent a lot of love their way earlier in the little segment here, but I'm picking Houston, and so is everyone else. I think these teams are rather close in their matchup. I think this is probably going to go to a game 5, but I still think that Houston's going to pull it out.
All right, everyone. Thanks for checking out another week of our Overwatch League pick series. As usual, drop some comments below with your thoughts for week 3, and make sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the Overwatch League. As usual, our weekly picks drop at 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, just 2 hours before game time, so you can prep for the week right before it starts. Thanks everyone for watching, and get good scrubs.
See you in the next one, guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey, look, they did that right without me editing it.
Fuck you, Nova.
If you like our coverage of the Overwatch League, let us know by liking and subscribing. And if you didn't, let us know why in the comments below. Maybe we can make it better. Thanks for watching, everyone.